Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. I'm James Baggett, founder of Car Dealer Magazine, and today on the show we're talking about the new buzzword for the industry, sanitising. Now, as dealers up and down the country attempt to go back to work by either selling online or potentially setting up click and collect models, we've written a lot of content about that in the last 24 hours, many more are planning the health and safety measures they need to reconsider when they restart their businesses. Now, customers are likely to demand that any vehicle they buy has been sanitised to the highest standards. So today we're going to be discussing that in more detail. I've got a few people to help me with it. Firstly, I'd like to welcome back Umesh Samani, Chairman of the IMDA, Independent Motor Dealers Association, and owner of Specialist Cars in Stoke. Good afternoon, Umesh.
Afternoon, James. Good to be back on here again. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you for joining us again. Giving us the franchise dealer's opinion, and the first Irish dealer that we've had on the show is Renault Retail Group's Richard O'Brien, who runs the Bellegarde site in Dublin. Good afternoon, Richard.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. And finally, MotorCheck's co-founder Shane Teskey, whose company has developed a really clever new product called Sanicar, which will help sanitise vehicles. I spotted it online, started speaking to Shane, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. Shane, good afternoon.
Afternoon, James.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, so I'm going to start with Richard. As I said, first picture that we've had from Ireland. Richard, how did the lockdown occur in Ireland, and how did it affect dealers over
there? So we've been in lockdown since just after Patrick's Day, so probably latter end of March. So we've literally been, closed the doors effectively. We're open in our after sale service for breakdown and emergency only. Which we've maintained because we've got a couple of contracts with like local hospitals and ambulance services and stuff like that. So as far as our after sales department, it's been ticking along. But as far as front of house sales, lockdown since the end of March. How has it affected our business? I'm going to say our inquiry level is probably down. I'm going to say around 90%. We're still having obviously a virtual showroom effectively open. We're looking at appointments only. But yeah, it's been tough for everybody, in this current climate,
And how strict is the lockdown, Richard?
So it's a 2 kilometer radius from your home address, unless you are an essential business. So. As far as our after sales service, we would class that as an essential business. We have a couple of contracts with local hospitals, nursing homes that have ambulances through ourselves. So that would be an essential business for ourselves. So, but as far as our front of house, it's virtual showroom. It's see it now videos. It's going to be, I think, for everybody watching in as well. There's going to be a lot of new norms now that we probably would have looked at prior to COVID. We probably would have said, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? I think now everybody's business is going to change. Everybody, how we do business, how the customer looks at buying a car and what expectations they have going forward. So it's going to be an interesting time for everybody, I think,
We'll move on to some of those changes in a moment, especially when it comes to sanitisation. But I'm interested to hear what level of support has the motor trade been given over there? What level of support has there been for businesses?
Support from government?
Yes.
So I suppose, look, we're all on a COVID payment effectively. As far as your income, is that what you mean, or is it part of supporting the business?
Yeah, I mean, here we've got the grants, the furlough scheme.
Furlough scheme, yeah. So we've got a similar scheme going. The country has a similar scheme going with what's called a COVID payment. So yeah, you're subsidised. The government is paying a certain amount, and then if your company or your dealership or whoever you work for is willing to subsidise that as well to bring you back up to your normal pay. Some companies are doing that, some companies are not doing that. So yeah, there is a similar furlough scheme going on here in Ireland as well.
And is it working, Richard? Are the businesses getting the support that they need to the greatest extent?
Personally, I think yes. I can't speak for every business, but 70% is what they're covering, and the additional, I suppose, ourselves here, we're covering the balance for an employer. So look, that can only go on for so long. We don't know how this is going to or how long this is going to last. And but yeah, I would say my own personal opinion would be that yeah, definitely government has really stepped up to the plate and helped businesses. Even in relation to rates and stuff like that. I know in the UK, certain local councils have stopped rates. I think, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So look, certain businesses are going to suffer from this, and unfortunately, probably not going to reopen in certain industries. But yeah, it's I would say government have helped.
And are you managing to do any car sales and any deliveries? I mean, here there is some, we've been told that dealers can sell online, they can deliver remotely to people's homes. And then there's an argument actually that some form of level of click and collect could happen. What's the picture over there?
Yeah, like, I think everyone is still a little bit, I can only speak for our customers that we've dealt with. Like we would have a 70-80% penetration on PCP. So we've got a lot of PCP customers coming up for renewal in the month of March and April. So what they're doing is they're focusing on refinancing the GMFE, and we're going to later pick up those inquiries when we do resume business. But since we've closed the doors, we've probably, we would on average sell 80 to 100 used cars a month. We've done 10 this month. So you can see it's a massive difference. Obviously we're socially distancing ourselves. We're sanitizing all our vehicles like we have done for the last 18 months. But yeah, customers, look, each individual customer is going to have different wants and needs. We've had customers come to the dealership and collect the vehicle. We've obviously fully kept our social distancing and that. But it really has. We've delivered cars to people's houses, and then other people have left deposits, and they will pick the vehicle up when they're happy enough that they can resume. They can travel outside the 2 kilometer zone. So, as I say, it's different customers' wants and needs.
So under the lockdown rules, there, the customers are allowed to come and pick up a car from the showroom.
If they're deemed essential, if they're deemed essential. So if they're part of the healthcare service, yes. But if they don't have a letter from their employer, no, definitely not. We can deliver the vehicle to them, if that needs. But majority of people are I suppose understanding really of the circumstances we're in.
Okay, Richard, thank you for that. Let's touch on the subject of today, this sanitisation point. It's obviously going to be a really big thing going forward.
Massive,
I think
yeah.
the chances of customers coming into a dealer and accepting a car that hasn't been sanitised properly is probably very small. How are you planning for that in the future?
So Sanity system to us, we've been using Sanity for, as I say, 18 months, probably 20 months now. We were one of the first innovators of it in Ireland in the motor trade, in both sales and after sales. So I suppose that the landscape is going to change or has changed for us over the last couple of months. When we initially got the product, and dealers watching in will have to decide which way they will want to use the product, whether they want to make an income from it or whether they want to use the product as an added service or an add-on to their sales or their after sales. So we would have used the product, as I say, 18 months ago. We were using the product. We bought the machine, so you get about, I think it's 900 to 1,000 usage out of one machine. So we broke it down and we were looking at what, if we were to sanitize each vehicle, how much would it cost us? So we're looking at about €1, €1.50. We had the business managers within the business. This is going back 18 months ago, selling the product, and we were selling it out at €99. So a massive uptake, a massive revenue streamer for us. But over the last couple of months now, I feel that customers now expect this, and it's now the new norm for customers that, well, why should I pay for something that should be deemed, I suppose they would think it should be just naturally done by the dealer. So now we're adding it on to our G3, our paint protection. So we would have sold our paint protection out for $359. We're selling it out now at $399. But we are fully sanitizing the vehicle. We will do that in some cases. In our after sales service, we're actually now looking at sanitizing every vehicle before it goes back to the customer. So there's no cost whatsoever involved in that. And sometimes we will just throw it into a deal effectively previously now. But now I think going forward, when we resume business, hopefully soon enough, I think my own personal feeling is that it will be just a standard part of our valet system now, that all our vehicles are sanitized and there's no cost whatsoever. So we would use that as an upsell really on our competition. Like, not everybody has it over here, so we will be using that and be shouting loud about it in both our sales and our after sales, that this is the new norm now. You know, it has to be done. And you know, like you can imagine a car, how many germs it carries, and you know, even for our technicians down in our workshop, you know, even getting into a customer's car now, you know, they've obviously got their PP clothing and their masks and their gloves and stuff, you know. But then is a customer going to be happy that a couple of technicians have been in the car? And, you know, so I think as far as an after sales tool, you know, saying to your customers, listen, we're going to service the vehicle, and, you know, we're going to obviously fully sanitize your vehicle prior or when we give it back to you. I think there's a couple of things. It can justify your labor rate, maybe. If your competition is down the road is charging, I don't know, £100, £99, whatever it is, it justifies you, I think, as a dealer to say, well, listen, we are going to sanitize your vehicle. Do they sanitize it down the road? So I think there's going to be a lot of new norms, as I keep on saying, you know.
Yeah, Richard, I find that very interesting that you invested in this 18 months ago. I mean, that is quite a step. I will come back to you in a moment, and I will move on to Shane in a second to discuss this product that you're quite clearly used. But yeah. I just want to move to Umesh just for now. In the independent world, Umesh, are you planning a sanitisation regime for your cars? And do you think customers are going to demand it when we do get back to work?
I think very much like what Richard has just said. You know, every car that I've got here, before selling it, will have to have a full sanitizer. Yes, gone to this sanitation. I think that is going to be a standard thing that customers are going to start expecting. Yeah. As Richard said, you know, customers will be saying, you know, how clean is that car before I get into it? So I think it is so essential that every car's got to go through the process. And again, on the after sales side, I mean, but I think you know, as Richard said before, you know, you could charge for it previously, but I think going forward, this is going to be expected from customers. Yeah. And again, on the after sales side, you know, initially I thought, you know, would be a profit opportunity, but I think in reality it isn't actually. I think it's just to give the customers a confidence to say, look, the car's been in for a service. We've gone all around the car. The techies got around it. I mean, we've just done an IMDA thing, so it's about 40-odd places of touch spots where sometimes, you know, we're touching stuff in the service side of it, and the customers again going to need to have that confidence, say, you know, the car's been cleaned when they get it back. So I think it's just going to be part of the service. We absorb the cost of it. And I'm also thinking of personally promoting it as a free service to NHS staff locally to come in and say, look, you know, bring your car in. Yeah. It'll take us half an hour or so to sanitize your car as well. So, but I think it is the new norm to be ahead of the game. I think in time, I think there'll be pretty much all the dealers will be doing this as a standard thing as we go forward.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there, Umesh, and it's interesting that you've put together that guide for your IMDA members, because we wrote a piece about sanitisation on the website this week a guide of basically where to start, really. But what we need is some specific guidelines handed out by a body, really, so dealers know exactly what they're doing, I think. Thank you for that, Umesh. I'm going to move on to Shane now to discuss the product and the solution that you've got. Shane, thank you for joining us. Tell me a little bit about this product and how it works, because clearly Richard's been using it for a little while, and it's probably something that a lot of dealers are going to want right now.
Yes, and thank you for having us, James. It's a very topical issue. You might ask, why are MotorCheck getting involved in sanitization of cars? And it wasn't a natural leap for us. But, you know, in the context of car sales, the questions that we're used to answering are, has it ever been crashed? Does it have finance outstanding? Has it been written off? And just like Richard said, we think the question in the new normal is going to be, has it been sanitized? And as it happens, we were shown this system, the Sanity system, 2 years ago when the Irish distributors were approaching the UK market. And we offered it to some of the large auction houses and some dealerships. It was predominantly being employed as an upsell for customers who are having cars serviced. Would you like us to sanitize it as well? Customers buying cars, paying anything between 25 and £100. It's got great pedigree in Italy. It's rolled across most of the kind of fast fit outlets that you'd expect across Italy as a sanitization as a service where you call by. So I guess everything changed with COVID. We reconnected with the distributors of the product and said, tell us guys, does this combat the coronavirus? Is there a story or an answer? Could it be part of the solution in the new normal going forward? And when we looked at the science and what the machine does, it was clear to us that it was ticking a lot of boxes that dealerships will want. So it's cheap to run, it's quick, it's portable, it takes 23 minutes. It can be brought with the delivery driver to sanitize the car that's being delivered, or the part exchange that you're asking the delivery driver to sit into to take on board again. So it's protecting not just customers, but employees and suppliers, etc.
Sorry to interrupt you, Shane. I'd like to just understand a little bit about what the product looks like and how it works. I mean, I think you've got one there, haven't you? Can you just show me what it and show the people watching what it looks like? Okay. And so how does it work?
So this is Sanicar. It's the smallest version of the Sanity system, and it's what we call an ozone generator. It creates ozone gas, which sits next to O2. It's O3. It's a gas that has the effect of being 10 times stronger than any chlorine-based solution that you would use to sterilize something. So it's naturally occurring. There are no chemicals. The machine has an electric static charge built in and a blue light that creates ozone specifically from the O2 around it. It's a medical grade device that does this. And the manufacturer has learned that to be effective at killing bacteria and viruses, you need a saturation of 2.5 parts per million of ozone for 15 minutes. Any more than that, and you risk, because ozone is such a strong gas, you risk affecting fabric, leather, plastic on dash, rubber, etc. So they have carefully configured this to work in a car. You've got 3 programs: normal car, large SUV, and a camper van or bigger vehicle, van, etc. You hit the start button and you just close the doors, put up the windows. If you want to, you can start the car, put the air conditioning on cold and make sure it's set to recycle, and then it will sanitize the air conditioning of the car inside as well. Now, what's crucially different about the Sanity system from any other ozone bombs or other chemical-based systems is that it has inbuilt a catalytic converter. So at the end of the cycle, and if I turn it around and just, I don't know if you can see that, but here's how the machine builds up to the saturation point of ozone, lets it do its job for a period of time depending on the size of the car, and then the catalytic converter kicks in and changes the O3 back into oxygen. It takes about 7 minutes to do it. So at the end of the full cycle, 23 minutes, you can open the door, get back in the car and drive away. Fully sanitized and fully safe for use. There are, as I've seen, other ozone machines, James, that will blow industrial levels of ozone into a car. you're left waiting a couple of hours for it to disperse. There's health and safety questions around employees and those who are using it, etc. So that's why we liked the Sanity system so much, and we decided to tell our MotorCheck customers about it.
It's clearly a very compact unit that you could probably pretty much use anywhere. The big question for you is, and it's going to be the one that everybody's going to ask, is it proven to kill off coronavirus?
Yeah, you're right. That's the question that comes at us all the time. And rather than give it a yes or no answer, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of delve into it a small bit. So the coronavirus is a family of viruses, as you know, and they've been around for quite a long period of time. And there's lots of studies that show ozone being a very effective defense against the coronavirus. Coronavirus is what you call an envelope virus. It has quite a fragile lipid layer on the outside and a single strand of RNA inside. So it's quite an easy virus to render inactive. Your hand wash, for example, your soap will do it. Ozone will obliterate it. Ozone has been tested to kill SARS and MERS, and there's laboratory results and official tests to show that, conducted in all kinds of environments, including ambulances. The current epidemic or pandemic we're experiencing, the name of the virus is SARS-CoV-2. It's 80% identical to the previous SARS virus. It is an envelope virus, and it's a member of the coronavirus family. Do we have a test result from a lab that shows ozone's effect against SARS-CoV-2? Not yet. It's underway. We expect to have one in the next 6 to 8 weeks. You can imagine the labs are busy at the moment. Is there any reason at all to believe that it won't be effective? Absolutely not. Ozone is one of the best sanitization methods you can employ. Hospitals will use it in their operating theaters. As I say, it's already demonstrated its success on other coronaviruses. It hasn't failed with any one of them. We expect it to be the same.
So thank you for that. I'm just going to move back to Richard, who's clearly using this product. Richard, are your customers asking you that question, and how do you explain it on a practical level to them? Richard, can you hear us? I think you might be muted, Richard. Well, while Richard sorts that out, I'll let you answer the question, Shane, on that front. What advice can you give dealers when it comes to explaining that? Because it's very hard to explain that to a layman, isn't it?
Yes, the system comes with a marketing kit with pop-up stands and brochures that explains what ozone does. So we circulate that information in advance so a dealer can familiarize themselves with it. When the treatment has been performed, there's a certificate that the dealer fills in, James, puts the registration number and the date on it and leaves it in the car. The website Sanity system itself carries a lot of information about what that standard is. Because, you know, you're absolutely right. We looked at lots of cars being advertised on classified sites and we could see dealers writing, this car has been fully sanitized. But what does that mean? Does it mean that one chap has a spray and he wipes it on the dashboard? Maybe another guy's a bit more diligent and he'll do the seat belts and he'll do the steering wheel, etc. So what we liked about the Sanity system was that it elevates sanitization to a particular standard that can be adopted across the board. It's completely automatic, and as it's a gas, it gets everywhere. There's nothing that can be missed in the car. And doing the air conditioning system as well is fantastic. So would you believe the strongest interest at the moment is coming from obviously car dealers, but a lot of the logistics companies who are moving vehicles from A to B and want to be able to hand a car over. Okay, it's been sold and the hard work has been done, but at handover, how do we give that customer the confidence that it has been sanitized to a standard? And when they can demonstrate the machine or even show it at work, you can use it with a cigarette charger and an adapter. I think that gives customers complete confidence that they know what they're getting, as opposed to some of the other solutions that people will be trying to employ that are maybe a bit more hit and miss. I was talking to one dealership and he says, yes, look, best intentions, we sanitize all our cars. And it was a checklist of what the valeter needs to do to clean. But when you ask the guys in the valeting bay, you've got 20 cars to get out and a busy Saturday in a couple of months when everything goes back to normal. Do you feel that maybe standards might slip a small bit on the sanitization? And, you know, unfortunately, that's just the way things go sometimes. So
yeah, I'm sure human error is going to slip into this in the future. Umesh, what are your thoughts on products like this? I mean, there will be some dealers out there who simply haven't got the money to invest in it, and I'll come back to Shane in a minute to talk on the commercial side of things. But there will be some dealers out there who haven't got the money to do it and will want to do it themselves. But what would your advice be to your members when it comes to sanitisation like this?
Well, I think it's a difficult call on price, but price-wise, I think it's a great value for money. I really do. I think when you work it down to how much per car, honestly, it's as Richard explains, it's very, very little amount you've got to invest in. So, you know, Richard was saying, you know, £1.50, whatever, but that is peanuts compared to anything. And as Shane was just saying about, you know, cars getting valeted, it is very, very hit and miss. You know, one guy can wipe the door handle, seat belts, the next valeter will miss these sort of things. The fact that it is gas, it gets in the car, customers can see it at the point of delivery, the whole car's, you know, has gone through the system. There's not a lot more anybody can do. So I think value for money, I really genuinely believe it is peanuts really to invest in the product. I really do. I think once people start seeing the prices of it, which Shane, I'm sure will probably share about it, I think they'll be queuing up to buy the product.
Shane, you might as well tell us how much it is now, and then I'll go back to Richard, who's now back on the line. We can ask him a couple of questions on how he uses it.
okay, well, current orders for the Sanity system, they're £149 at the point of order, and then it's a rental of the machine £99 per month.
Okay, thank you for that. Richard, can you just explain to us how you why you invested in this 18 months ago? Because this was clearly before coronavirus kicked off. What made you see that there was demand there with the customers?
Initially, it was a revenue streamer. I'll be honest. Yeah, when the guys over here initially approached us, obviously we being part of Renault Retail Group, we've got obviously really high standards, and we wanted to bring those standards up even more. So initially, yeah, obviously it was, you know, it was we were a trial sort of basis, but we took it on board, and we seen obviously what, and like obviously we've got ancillary income coming into the dealership. So we, you know, when we look at a deal, we all look at a deal and go, how much margin are we making? Or, you know, but you know, it's not you might be losing some money on the vehicle, but you're making your money up on other ancillary income. So that initially was our focus. We were selling for €99. We were doing probably initially at the start, we were probably doing, as I say, we gave it to the business managers. Income was probably coming in at €5,000-6,000 a month. So the machine was flying for ourselves. We then changed our tactic. About 4 or 5 months ago, we've seen a demand. They've seen the customers change, customers' wants and needs changing, and their expectations. So our after sales service is separate. We did still charge for it prior to Corona. We won't be doing that now going forward. As I say, Umesh is saying that it is an expectation now from customers, and so. But yeah, no. Initially, it was an income driver for ourselves. And
customers clearly appreciated that and bought into
massively, it. Yeah. And even when like Shane was talking about, and he'd done an excellent. He explained it far better than I would ever. But I suppose what from a customer's point of view, when the customer steps into the vehicle after it has been sanitized, if you can imagine you going into a doctor's surgery or your dentist, you have that clinical sort of smell. That's the smell that it will leave. So it'll kill all odors. It'll kill if you have a car that has, you know, a bad smell in it, like, you know, kids have dropped milk in it, or, you know, someone was a smoker in the vehicle. It'll kill all of that. It really, really does. Now, you might you might need to do the system maybe twice to get a really, really bad smell. But I tell you, lads, it's after it's been done, when you're handing that car over to the customer at handover stage, especially if the customer knows that it's been a bit stinky beforehand, or it has been a bad smell in it or whatever, you know, definitely, it definitely does the trick.
High praise indeed. Killing off those spilt lattes. It will be.
We all have children. We all have children.
Quite a product. Umesh, I'm just going to come back to you. What's the IMDA advising its members when it comes to sanitisation? Not generally, just in terms of general advice. What are you telling your members to do?
Well, we've again going back to what we did yesterday. I mean, we've got a download sheet again of all the processes there, James. We've done that yesterday for all the dealers to say this is the process we recommend you do with every car. These are things you should be using, not just with cars, when customers come to the showroom or the after sales department, whatever. All the guidelines, we've done a stage by stage of how every car should be going through, every customer should be treated. I think we've got to take this a bit more serious than just thinking, do you know what, it's just keep your distance, full stop. I think there's a whole process. And if we don't follow the process, I think we're going to, there's going to be issues out there with people. So it is a matter of just advising every dealer to say, there's a process, this is what we recommend, follow you stage by stage, and hopefully you'll be fully compliant and help your customers out.
And what about documentation, Umesh? What should dealers do to make sure they've got records of these cars being cleaned?
I think if they've got a process in hand, I think they'll have a tick list to say, which car's gone through the process, what it's been done. So at least they've got a full record of every car or what's been done when it was done. But again, on handover time, I think it's a case of, doesn't matter if the car was done, a few weeks ago, the car's back up for sale. It's really got to be done again just prior to the handover to the customer. I think that's the crucial part, isn't it? Rather than we did it a few weeks ago, there's the keys, take the car. I think it's got to be done just at the point of handover, really.
Shane, I'm going to come to you, and I'd just like to ask your advice when it comes to sanitisation. And I clearly, I can guess that you're going to say it's use your product, but notwithstanding that, have you got any practical tips that dealers can put in place when it comes to sanitisation?
Well, you asked Umesh earlier about certifying and paperwork to be kept to hand, James, and unfortunately it does come back to use our product, but perhaps this can be adapted for whatever product you're using. But the system itself has a digital readout on the top, and it counts the number of cycles that it's performed. It will do 1,500 cycles, this particular machine, before it needs to be replaced. So our advice would be to note the number that the cycle was that was carried out on the specific vehicle. And when you're issuing the certificate, just take a copy of it and put it into the deal file to show at a particular date and time it was certified. I guess if you're using something else, if you're using maybe one of the bombs or one of the other alternatives, perhaps there's a serial number that comes on the actual device that's being used. You do want to keep some record. I feel it's important for trust. Even a photograph of it in action in the car would be good. I think what Umesh has done there with an actual code of conduct or a process that a dealer can demonstrate, this is what we do in terms of sanitizing our cars. These are the steps we take. That's amazing. That's excellent as well.
Shane, going forward, do you think there is clearly dealers could clean these cars with Dettol wipes and they could do their very best. However, the chances are something could be missed. Do you think there's a risk to dealers in the future of claims from lawyers or their customers if they don't sanitize their cars properly?
That's a good question. I suspect it's going to be very difficult to prove that anybody has caught a virus or done something, come into contact with something they shouldn't have when they're buying a car. It might be more likely that somebody would claim we've been missold something. So if the dealership is claiming we have sanitized this car, but the customer is able to find evidence of bacteria or something in the vehicle that clearly it wasn't sanitized, who knows? They might be in a position to hand the car back and say, you've missold me. I'm sorry, I'm not. And really, the relationship, the trust that's being built up between a car dealer and somebody who's buying it with that level of expense, this isn't something we want to flirt with, in my opinion. If we're going to say a car has been sanitized, there should be a process behind the scenes that we can stand up and prove, rather than just asking the validator to give it a once over with the sanitized bottle as well as the other one.
And just finally, Shane, I take it you've been pretty much inundated with calls over the last few weeks with people wanting this. I mean, can you get enough of these products?
Yeah, so the factory today can manufacture 6,000 units a month. There is a new assembly line coming on in May, which is going to accelerate production because this is being sent all over the world. We have the Fort Lauderdale Fire Brigade who are using it at the moment in the USA. It's gaining traction there. It's going to Japan. It's on its way to Hungary. New territories opening all the time. As I say, it's the entry level. There are Sani Med and Sani Plus, the bigger ones for larger square foot premises. We have nursing homes getting interested in it now, as you can imagine. All offices, restaurants, bars, as they start to open. But so far as Motor Check, we've been able to ring fence orders in our production slots every month so that our customers or anybody who's coming through us will be able to get their hands on a machine between 5 and 8 weeks maximum. So orders coming in, I'm told just this morning before our close of business on Friday, will be delivered first week of June.
Okay. Shane, thank you very, very much for giving us that update. I wish you the best of luck with the products. I'm sure it's going to be incredibly popular. Richard, I know that you've got to shoot off and deliver some cars to some people, so I'm going to wrap up there. But thank you for joining us, and Umesh, thank you for giving up your time. Thank you to all of you. So, if you want more information on the IMDA, which Umesh is chairman on, you can log on to theimda.co.uk, and for more information on Shane's kit, you can visit help.motorcheck.co.uk. That's help.motorcheck.co.uk. Coming up tomorrow on Car Dealer Live, I'm going to be chatting to Phil Raby, who is a Porsche specialist dealer, and then on Friday I've got the Autocar team on the show to discuss everything the crisis has affected in the motor industry. If you want to get involved in Car Dealer Live like this one, email me, james@blackballmedia.co.uk. You can find me on Twitter at CarDealerEd or on LinkedIn. And if you want breaking news delivered direct to your phone, I've set up a WhatsApp group for car dealers. Just send me a message via any of those methods I've mentioned, and I'll get you included on that. There's a full schedule for Car Dealer Lives on the website, cardealermagazine.co.uk. And that leaves me to say thank you very much to my three guests today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.